not even 10 years of Reconstruction, where black people were brought into some rights within this country, that was betrayed. The troops were pulled out, and black people were re-enslaved in new conditions, slavery by another name, sharecropping for generations, serf-like conditions enforced through terror, lynch mob terror and violence. And the troops were pulled out to go and finish off the extermination of the native peoples. Okay? Then, another generation comes up in the face of changes in the U.S. economy and the need to pull black people out of the South and into the factories. Black people stood up and they waged struggle in a civil rights movement. They gave their lives. They stood up. White people stood with them. They went down from the north and stood with them. This upended Jim Crow. It was heroic that many did just unbelievably brave things. And then that was dismantled. And what did this system come back with? A new Jim Crow of mass incarceration that has ground up millions of black lives. So when I tell the story, this is science, when I tell the story of a black woman in Harlem with binoculars next to her window watching in terror every time her 12-year-old, 13-year-old son crosses the street because of what police do every day.
I really hope you are doing very fine wherever you are. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for tuning in to my YouTube space. I don't take it for granted. In today's video, I'm going to talk about this Indian American man who is calling out black people. He's against black American. He's against the struggles of black people at large. But he got schooled. He got whipped too much. Because there's a professor here was talking about struggles of minority. And it was giving an example, she was giving an example with black community. Each time we talk about the struggles that's going on in America, each time we're talking about the struggle of black people, each time we're talking about the inequalities, each time we talk about the segregation, Jim Crow law, and everything. The good example to give is example of black people or example of African Americans. And because African Americans have been on this struggle since 1619, and they have been fighting for the country of America. They have built the country of America. And all the people that are enjoying the benefit of United States, the Indians who are there, Asians who are there, the Latinos who are there, in one way or the other, the Africans diaspora who are there, in one way or the other, they are enjoying because of black Americans. We cannot deny that fact. So the professor was here giving example of the struggles of black people, or examples, she was using black community as the example. And this Indian American stood up and say, why when you talk about this, you only mention black people? Are they the only people who have struggled? And this lady, this professor, she was too good on it. And she kept this Indian guy where he's supposed to be. I want you to watch this clip so that you can understand what I'm trying to say. And then we'll come back again and try to talk something about it.
I think you build a foundation of your speech on working against identity politics. Yet, I think so conveniently, and it was kind of ignorant, that all of your examples of oppression or people going through struggle were all from the black community. So if you could so conveniently use one specific ethnicity to kind of propagate your ideals, is that not identity politics in itself?
You allege I only spoke about what black people face in this society, and that that's a form of identity politics. In fact, it is not. First of all, I spoke about the Bangladeshi women in the sweatshops sewing our clothes. I talked about women who've been forced to have children against their will in that form of enslavement. I spoke about trans people who have faced over 500 laws this year introduced or passed, not to mention the terror that's enforced against them. I spoke about what happens on this planet as a whole as it is heating due to the destruction of climate change driven forward by the system of capitalism, imperialism. So if you missed all that, I'm not surprised if you also missed some of the scientific undergirdings of it. But to be fair, I will walk through it again. I speak about black people in a very pronounced way when we come to revolution, because the exploitation, the enslavement, the dehumanization, and the degradation that's been inflicted on black people is foundational to this society and this system. And that is scientifically a fact. It's evidence-based. The wealth of this country, The territorial reach of this country, the military strength of this country got its roots in American slavery, the chattel slavery of black people. And then on that foundation, the ideology of white supremacy, of black inferiority was propagated. It was made a bedrock, of one of the glues of this society, and it has been woven into this society ever since. The forms of oppression have changed. It took a civil war to end slavery, but then what happened? After not even 10 years of Reconstruction, where black people were brought into some rights within this country, that was betrayed. The troops were pulled out, and black people were re-enslaved in new conditions, slavery by another name, sharecropping for generations, serf-like conditions enforced through terror, lynch mob terror and violence. And the troops were pulled out to go and finish off the extermination of the native peoples. Okay? Then another generation comes up in the face of changes in the U.S. economy and the need to pull black people out of the South and into the factories. Black people stood up and they waged struggle in a civil rights movement. They gave their lives. They stood up. White people stood with them. They went down from the North and stood with them. This upended Jim Crow. It was heroic that many did just unbelievably brave things. And then that was dismantled. And what did this system come back with? A new Jim Crow of mass incarceration that has ground up millions of black lives. So when I tell the story, this is science, when I tell the story of a black woman in Harlem with binoculars next to her window watching in terror every time her 12-year-old, 13-year-old son crosses the street because of what police do every day to black people, every fucking day. When I talk about that, that is a particular that concentrates a huge reality that is defining to this country. And that's scientifically true. It's evidence-based. It's woven into the fabric of this society. It's culture, it's economics, and it's global reach. And so we could debate. If you want to argue that's not scientific, bring some evidence. If you didn't hear the science, then please. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Tell me that it's a marginal thing. Tell me that to talk about that, I'm pimping off of it. I'm acknowledging reality. You want to say it's not defining to this country, that we shouldn't talk about it?
I want you to talk about it.
I am talking about it, yeah.
Okay, so just the fact that something actually happened or is true, doesn't, anything that's empirically based is not science, right? It's like saying anything that's true is scientifically, like, it's science. It's not. So I understand.
Okay. Okay. Let me help. Oh, go ahead. Maybe he should get the mic.
I understand that your point is I want to be building arguments based on reason and rationale.
Here, take the mic just so it gets.
I understand that your point is I want to be building arguments on reason and rationale, but that doesn't mean that it's scientific, and that doesn't mean that it's false or wrong.
Okay.
I'm saying that the validity of your argument doesn't increase by throwing the word science out.
Well, okay, so I would argue that science actually can be applied to all of reality, not just narrowly in engineering or in the natural sciences. No, this is important. What you're raising is widely felt, it's widely believed, it's widely taught, I'm sure, on this campus, that you can apply science to medicine, to nature, to the natural world. There's the hard sciences, but when you get to social reality, it's just opinions, it's experience, whatever. No. You can apply science to everything. Everything that is part of reality, which societies are, can be analyzed scientifically. Yeah. All science means, in a universal sense, is it's an evidence-based process. You gather evidence about reality, and you look for the deeper causes of the patterns in reality. And you can apply that to a society, just like you can apply it to a rainforest, just like you can apply it to a virus. You can say, what is the most defining thing about any given society? What undergirds it? What are the laws and its functioning? And a scientific analysis of this society says the most defining thing about this country is it's a capitalist, imperialist mode of production. That all of our needs are met through exploitation and people laboring in conditions all over the world to get the food we need, the clothes we wear, the pens we use, the microphones. All of this is created through global networks of production. And that all of our cultures, all of our ways of living, all of our ways of relating grow out of and have to reflect and more or less correspond to that. And so when we live in a society where the exploitation and oppression of black people has been woven into that mode of production all the way down to today, it leads to the culture and the society and the kind of police terror that we have today. That's applying science to a social contradiction.
All of your examples of oppression or people going through struggle were all from the black community.
Ugh, and that really bothered him. That really did. That tore him up. I don't know what this is about, but I'm noticing an uptick of South Asian people coming out of nowhere, like trying to minimize and like explain the black experience, and I don't like it. Like this is like the fourth, I think, South Asian person. You have the guy with Don Lemon on CNN. You got Ozu, who just got on Twitter talking about Joy Reid and now this situation. And I'm gonna need y'all to stop. It's like, stop it. Like, you're not us. You know what I mean? Like, you're not us. You know, we may have certain experiences where we parallel in that way. Like, both of our cultures deal with colorism. But it's rooted from anti-blackness. Like I say, you have experiences that parallel, but it's not the same, you know? So, like, don't do that. But that aside, you know, for some people, it's just easier to believe the hype. He clearly has bought into that whole illusion of, you know, here in America, we don't see color, and it's all about like your character, your contemporary character. You know, it's all about that. It's all about the things. It's all about, you know, it's all about who you are as a person, and not about like what you look like. You know, he bought into all of that. I'm sure he brought into the whole idea that black people were lazy and that we complain a lot and that we're ungrateful and blah, 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 blah. So like for him, I'm sure hearing this and it doesn't help that he's hearing it from a white lady, honey. It's really stinging him, I bet, on that part. So it has to be true because a white person is saying it. So I know that's tearing him up too, but it's just like, you know, it is what it is, you know. I would like to think that after getting reamed by this lady, honey, that he went home and, you know, started his path to unlearning all of the BS that he learned and was subjected to in his, you know, growing up and development and navigating the world as a brown person. You know, maybe not, you know, it is what it is. But our history is well documented, you know. That's why they're working so hard to try to keep it from being in schools and things, because the history is well documented. The truth is out there. You just got to go look for it. Period.
All of your examples of oppression or people going through struggle were all from the black community.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but this reads off to me as jealousy. This man is jealous that one racial group's problems is being talked about and not his own, and they're being talked about from the people at the highest point of the racial hierarchy. I feel like a lot of people of color feel that white people don't talk about the issues in their racial group enough, the issues that, you know, we can all argue white people have caused. And I feel like when they hear white people talking about our issues, it pisses them off because they feel like their issues aren't represented in the same nature. But instead of being mad at white people, they're mad at us, and they're mad at how active and loud we are about our problems, except when they need us to act for them because they feel like our tactics work. Because then they pull that POC unite. The thing is, these groups need to learn that they will never get anywhere hating on black people. And they will never get anywhere trying to kiss the YT man's ass. If you feel like your problems are not being talked about, be louder. But don't get mad at one specific group because they're doing what they have to do to be seen.
On working against identity politics. Yet, I think,
You know, it's funny to see how y'all want to be in close proximity to whiteness, but at the same time, you know what? I'm not even gonna say shit, and no other black person should even say shit because right when this shit blow up in their face, laugh. That's what I'm gonna do. Laugh, bitch. Because you know what? When they overturned Roe versus Wade, that was meant for white women. And now white women can't even get close to a hospital to get abortion safely because guess what? We took their rights away. That was never meant for no black person, no POC, but it was meant for white women. And now they overturned the affirmative action and all that shit. Bitch, that was meant for whites. It was never meant for blacks. Yeah, it was nice to have it for us to make sure we was included in bitch ass shit, but majority of those universities and stuff was not filled with black people. They were filled with white people. Sprinkle a little black, sprinkle a little Asians, sprinkle a little Hispanic. Baby, it was never meant for us. So therefore, I don't give a fuck no more. Baby, I never gave a fuck. However, this shit is fucking funny to watch because this shit is gonna blow up in your face. And do not look for the black woman vote because guess what? I cannot see. I am fucking blind, bitch. I don't know a damn thing. And when that revolution happened, bitch, I got that blicky for your ass. Just know that, bitch. I don't give a fuck no more. Maybe y'all want to be in so close of proximity to whiteness that you don't realize that they're using y'all asses. You never gave a fuck, so baby, guess what we gonna do? Not give a fuck either, because let's call a spade a spade. We told y'all. We've been telling y'all for years, for decades. My parents, my grandparents, my great grandparents, and so on and so forth. So therefore, when this shit blow up in y'all fucking face, guess what all the black people gonna do? And I mean it, and not y'all coon ass black people. I mean seriously. Turn the other way. Don't give a fuck. You think they give a fuck about us? Let that ingest in your fucking brain, bitch.
All of your examples of oppression or people going through struggle were all from the black community.
Go back and watch the original video because she reads his ass for filth. The reason why the school that you're going to isn't segregated is because of the work of black folks. The reason why you are not immediately in shackles, I guess, because you're still a slave here, by the way, is because of black people. You're welcome. Y'all want our culture. You want our food. You want our dances. You want our medicine. You want all the things that black people are and provide. But you don't want to read a book. And that's weird for me personally. Y'all don't come over here and like read any type of anything outside of your anti-black rhetoric that you're given from your parents and from other folks who tell you that black people are the reason why this country is whatever. The reason why this country is a foundation at all is because of our labor. Our fucking labor, by the way. And it makes me so crazy to see other brown and black folks, because let's not, Africans have their own words for us. Africans have their own like diaspora war issues with us. But the reason why you're over here is because of black Americans. The reason why you're over here and thriving is because of black Americans. We ain't seen not a fucking lick of reparations, not a lick of it. But y'all got grants, y'all got all types of fucking businesses and shit, thriving businesses. Do you know why that is? I don't think they know why it is. And that's your fucking problem. You're gonna end up just like these white folks, ass the fuck out. And black folks are gonna be fine, specifically black women. I don't have any hope for black men, but that's another story for another day. Brown immigrants will get this one whiff of white supremacy, what do you call them shits? Benefits, white supremacy benefits, and they don't let go. They love it. They love some white supremacy benefits. Y'all have fun with that shit. Really thrive with it. I hope it works for you.
I think you build a foundation of your speech on working against identity politics.
Honestly, I wish the ancestors of black Americans did not fight for the descendants of these ungrateful MFers. Because, let me tell you, before I get into what I'm finna say, the revolution will not be televised. Now, with that being said, I hope all y'all Indians, Asians, Indians are Asians, unlike, the continent or whatever. All y'all non-blacks, especially y'all non-black Americans, y'all are going to be in this on your own. And when the revolution do start, please, for the love of God, do not look for black people. And for black people, do not try to help them, because people of color solidarity does not exist, and it damn sure does not include your black ass. So when these people be realizing that they're not white, because in their head they believe that they white. In their head they believe that they're one step above black people. When the revolution happened, y'all asses are going to be the first ones stuck, confused, and most likely dead. Because I promise to God, I'm fighting with a smile on my fucking face. I got a 4-5 and a 2-2. Which one you want?
I think you build a foundation of your speech on working against identity politics.
This is why when people say, well, Todd, you're a person of color. No, I'm not. I'm black. People of color do not like black people. They do not want to have community with us. They make that very clear every fucking day. I won't say all people of color, but I'll say enough do shit like this. If you can't undercut us, you want to use us as a prop. I don't like that shit. Compound that with the fact that every community in the world has their own form of anti-blackness. Hello? One of these things is not like the other. So no, I don't really want to be looped into a group of people who would throw me under the bus without a second thought if they thought it would put them ahead. A lot of people of color, like a lot of white people, like black people for the service that we provide you, for the culture that we provide you. You don't see us as people. So no, we're not BIPOC. I'm black.
I think you build a foundation of your speech on working against identity politics.
This why I only speak on black issues. I will never consider myself BIPOC because the IPOC don't like us. Like, I've never met a group of people so freaking ungrateful in my life. Like, I don't get it. The reason why you have all these rights in the first place is because of us. It's because of us. When y'all need us again, don't call us no more. Because y'all gotten y'all reparations. We ain't even gotten a fucking I'm sorry. You know what? Screw y'all.
Of your speech on working against identity politics. Yet,
as of now I see why a lot of black people do not like calling themselves or like to align themselves with quote-unquote POC. Yeah. This is total bullshit.
all of your examples of oppression or people going through struggle were all from the black community.
Tell me if I'm wrong, but this reads off to me as jealousy. This man is jealous that one racial group's problems is being talked about and not his own, and they're being talked about from the people at the highest point of the racial hierarchy. I feel like a lot of people of color feel that white people don't talk about the issues in their racial group enough, the issues that, we can all argue white people have caused. And I feel like when they hear white people talking about our issues, it pisses them off because they feel like their issues aren't represented in the same nature. But instead of being mad at white people, they're mad at us, and they're mad at how active and loud we are about our problems, except when they need us to act for them because they feel like our tactics work. Because then they pull that POC unite. The thing is, these groups need to learn that they will never get anywhere hating on black people. And they will never get anywhere trying to kiss the YT man's ass. If you feel like your problems are not being talked about, be louder. But don't get mad at one specific group because they're doing what they have to do to be seen.
Welcome. You have heard the video, and I know you are happy watching this clip because of how he was answered, because I believe black people need to be respected. I sometimes I even wonder why we ain't respecting black Americans, how they need to be respected, because this life we live in America, in UK, France, Germany, as black people or Africans who are there, Asians, you are only respected because black people or black Americans fought for this. They fought for the freedom you are having, even if it's not that much freedom, but black people were on the front line. They fought for the freedom. This voting you are voting, the voting rights you are enjoying right now, it's because of black community. The beauty of the dream of America, the beauty you see is because of the efforts of black Americans. That's all we need to know. Now, I have seen a fight between South Africans and black Americans, of which I don't like it, because we need to respect each other. Black Americans should respect Africans as the motherland. Africans should respect black Americans because black Americans are fighting for them. Now, this young man, this Indian man, I've seen comments, people saying he was jealousy. He was jealousy because his community is not mentioned. And I get it. I get it, because having insufficient information or having less knowledge or insufficient knowledge can make you to think otherwise. Because maybe the knowledge this guy has is that of Indians have gone through a lot, Asians have suffered, but he does not have all the knowledge or the information or the history of how things started to be. Because black people were like the founder of America of today. Black people were the first people to be enslaved in the United States of America. These other races like Asians, these other communities, they came, and that's why black Americans are so much vocal, because one of the reasons is making black Americans to be so much vocal like this. We have been here. We have been fighting for the country. We have built this country. Why are you treating us like this? Then boom, they go to the street. Boom, they fight for civil rights. They fight for inequality, because they are supposed to be part of what is benefiting all the minority groups, or what is benefiting Americans. And the one reason why everyone mentions black people is because they know the reality. They know the truth. White people, when they talk, they will channel their fear and everything on black people. They know. White people, a lot of them, they know black people are the reasons why they have been enjoying. Because of the sweat and blood of black people, white people got better education. Because of the suffering of black people, white people got better jobs and, better pay wages. It's because there is one community that is being oppressed. There's a video I did, my previous video, I said this. This other community is not a threat to the white America. You ain't a threat to the white America. And the only reason why they talk about black people is because black people are the only threat in the face of the earth. Black people are the only one who can stand and say no to injustices, because these other communities, even being Africans on that bucket, we are the allies. We want to be the allies of the white America. We want to be the friends. We don't want to be condemned by the white America. We want to be so close to white America. Call them Latinos, Indians, Asians, Africans. All of us, we want to be allies. We want to live soft. We don't want to go through the struggle that black Americans have gone through. And it is because of this struggle that we are able to be the allies of the white people. Because the white people would rather be an ally to you as an Indian, and they will tell you that the other race is bad, and the other community, black community, is bad, because they want you to do the dirty work for them. So the reason why black people are always on the spotlight, the reason why black people are always is because black people are the real deal. And I loved how this lady answered this guy. I loved it, because you don't know the history of black people. Yeah. If you knew the history of black people, you could not be talking how they are talking. If you know how Jim Crow has affected black people, if you know how racism and inequalities has affected black people, you could not be talking the way you are talking. First, black people are forced to go in the US. Some Indians, they went and Asians, they were taken to go and work. They were not forced. Some black people, the impact of slavery was too much on them, because they experienced it firsthand. So if they give example of black people when they are talking about what's going on, the inequalities and everything, you should not be getting mad. You should go back to the drawing board and try to think, what have you never learned about black people? Because that shows me there's a lot of things this Indian American doesn't know about black people. Yeah. Because standing there and talking like the way he talked, it wasn't supposed to be like that. But I thank God the people who are here, they understood, because this was a mixture. There were a mixture of black people, Asians, and everyone in this community here. And I think it's just great to see how this professor stood firm and talked what's happening, saying what's really happening within the black community. And Indians, you must know that black people have been fighting for all along. And we know that even Africans who are talking bad on black Americans. They really don't know how black Americans have suffered. They don't know the history of black people. They just know the stereotypes that we are being told black Americans are like this and like that, but we don't know the real deal, what's going on. This Indian man must know that black American has helped Indian American in number of ways. And the US civil rights movement, led largely by black Americans, laid a groundwork for legal protection that benefited all minorities, including Indian Americans. It was largely led by black Americans. Laws like Civil Rights Act in 1964 and Voting Rights Act in 1965 fought by black leaders, and this did not help black people only. And that's why I was saying black people have been fighting this battle not for their own self, but for every minority group. And this Indian must go back to the drawing board, must go back and learn this history, must go back and learn the history, how Indians or how black Americans helped to bring voting rights. The voting rights they have right now is because of black Americans. Another thing, black American culture, especially in music, fashion, and activism, has deeply influenced Indian Americans, especially younger generation growing up in the USA. And figures like Martin Luther King Jr. were inspired by Mahatma Gandhi, but the influence has also gone the other way. Indian Americans have looked to black leaders as role models for social activism in the USA. So I think Indian Americans and black Americans, they have been working together, but black Americans have been helping Indian Americans for so long in educational and professional advocacy, because black people have been fighting for quality education, and some black organizations, they also included Indian Americans in broader minority empowerment efforts. Now in politics too, we have black politics, or black people have been fighting so hard to have their voices to be heard, and this included Indians too, their voice to be heard. So black people have been fighting for so long for what's happening in the freedom and everything you have. Tell me what you think on the comment section about this video. Until next episode, peace out.